Hello YouTube, welcome to my video about dotted quarter notes. This is in response to my video which is called Best Polyrhythmic Exercise Ever or something like that. Link to that video is in the description so you know what I'm talking about. I don't really think it's the best polyrhythmic exercise ever, it's just a joke. So yeah, I've had a lot of questions about it, asking me to explain how it all works. So I thought I would just do this video and try and help kind of clear some of those things up, because it is quite confusing. It's quite, yeah, it must be quite confusing. So yeah, I'm going to start really basic with my explanations of those things. So for that reason, I'll probably have to do 2, maybe 3 videos, because there's a lot to get through. So in the video I did, I'm playing a blues in 4/4 with a dotted quarter note implied pulse going through it. It sounds like the actual time is something else, so it's a rhythmic illusion. But to get to that point where I can explain it really clearly, I need to sort of build it up with some other basics. So I'll talk today about dotted quarter notes in the context of 3/4 and how they relate to 3/4, and then I'll talk briefly about how they relate to 4/4 as well. But I won't be playing in this exercise. I'm just gonna count and clap, because I think you have to. If you're beginning this stuff, it's better to get the information in your head before you start playing it. So yeah, I mean, the thing with polyrhythm is, dotted quarter notes is 2 against 3. It's 2 beats in the time of 3 beats, so it's a polyrhythm. And the thing with any polyrhythm, I think the terminology that is a bit confusing with polyrhythm, because I think it's a misunderstood term, because I think people think you have to do one thing against something else, like 2 against 3, 5 against 7, whatever. To me, that's slightly misleading, because it implies that you have to think 2 things at the same time. Like one part of your brain's thinking 5 and the other part of your brain's thinking 7. But that's never been how it worked for me. I had to take both parts, the 5 and the 7, and put them together, write them out in like one composite rhythm, so that I would hear it as one thing. And only then did it start making sense and become a kind of piece of vocabulary that made any sense, and that I could contextualize. So yeah, I just wanted to say that about polyrhythms, because the approach I'll use to explain this one today, 2 against 3, is the same one I'll probably do future videos about more complex polyrhythms, but it's all following the same logic. Yeah, so dotted quarter notes, as I said, it's 2 against 3. And I think when you're dealing with polyrhythms, it's really important to write it down. Maybe for some people it makes sense to learn these things by ear. For me, it's always been way better to write it down, because when it's new information to me, it's completely alien information, and at least by looking at it, I can sort of see how one beat's lining up with another beat, and it's sort of a better way in for me. I mean, there's some super brains out there who can probably learn these things by ear. I'm just not one of them, and it's always worked better for me to do it the other way. So, but I think in the long run, it's perhaps more effective, because it means I've been able to work at other polyrhythms the same way, and doing it visually actually takes some of the mystery out, and it means you're not making the same mistake over and over and over and over. You can probably isolate whatever mistake it is you're making, or which hurdle you've come up against, and then deal with that before then getting to the next thing. I just find it a bit more efficient. So I've taken the trouble of writing some stuff down here. Now, please bear with me because my YouTube game isn't sort of so brilliant yet, and I don't have notation on the screen yet. So I'll probably get to that at some point, but I am a bit of a Luddite when it comes to technology, so, bear with me. But the thing you can do is when I hold up the sheet of paper, you can pause it and do a screenshot, like this, for example. And because actually at the end of the day, it's way better if you write out these things yourself. It's much more thorough, and you'll learn the information much better if you do it yourself, rather than just taking some work that someone else has done and then hoping to absorb it. It's much more effective if you actually do it yourself, and you have to think about why you're writing a certain note where, and it's better. So, right, this is dotted quarter notes in 3, but I'll just cover this up. Just look at this one to start with, which is, I'll move this mic. So as you see, there's the quarter note and there's the dotted quarter note, right? So that is the relationship. But a better way of writing it out is actually if you do this. If you write out the whole grid, so every eighth note, and then put a circle around whatever one you want to accent. So in this case, it's the first eighth note, and then 3 later, it's the fourth eighth note. Because, what is a dotted quarter note? A dotted quarter note is 3 eighth notes, or it's the length of 3 eighth notes. So it makes sense that one hit is 3 eighth notes after the first. The second accent is 3 eighth notes after the first one. So, and then the thing you want to do after that is just try counting and clapping. So I'll just say that again. It's the first eighth note, or 1, and then the fourth eighth note, which is the same as the and of 2. So it's like 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then if I don't sing the ands, it's just da, 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 da. But if I've got the whole grid in my mind, it's 1, 2, da, 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 da. But the great thing about writing it out this way is that when you get to displacements, here you'll see a displacement which is the same rhythm but just moved 1 eighth note over. So it's the second eighth note and the fifth eighth note, or and of 1 and 3. So if you go 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3. Or if I don't sing the ands, it's just ba, 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 ba. And then if you can displace it 1 more over, starting on third eighth note, which is 2, 2 and of 3. Which would be 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. Or if I don't sing all the ands, it's just da, 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 da. So I just wanted to say that because I think a lot of people might just think dotted quarter notes in the time of 3/4 is just this. I'll hold this up so you can pause and do a screenshot if necessary. There you go. There's actually a cool Kurt Rosenwinkel song called Chivago, which some of you might know. If so, this will make more sense to you. Because it's in 3, and the melody goes 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, da. Was it? No. 2, 3, 2, 3, da 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 da. Right? That's what it sounds like, but it's actually not that. It's it's actually the same as this. So the melody starts on the and of 3. So it's actually like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, da 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 da. But it, if you're not paying attention, it just sounds different. It sounds displaced. It sounds like it's on the beat, but it's not on the beat. It's displaced. So there's an example of just being a bit more familiar with this type of information. Means that if you're in a rehearsal or whatever, or you have to play a gig for that kind of music, you're going to be more prepared, So yeah, so with 4/4, it's exactly the same thing, except there's 4 beats to a bar instead of 3, and it means that the polyrhythm doesn't resolve every bar. Okay, so here it is written down. So I'll just give you that so you can do a pause and a screenshot. There you go. Now, as you'll see, the top line is the grid with every accent, every dotted quarter note accent circled. Underneath is just how it looks in normal notation. So it's the notes lined up with the hit there. Now, the thing with dotted quarter notes in 4/4, as I said, it doesn't resolve every bar. It resolves actually every 3 bars. So the polyrhythm lands on 1 again here. So over a blues, and this is the form of a blues, 12 bars, this polyrhythm, which takes 3 bars to resolve, happens 4 times. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, and there's 4. But the problem with the blues is it's 3 times 4-bar phrase and not 4 times a 3-bar phrase. So you have to hear it in the context of 4-bar phrasing, which is that's where it gets tricky. But I'll cover that in my next video. Right now, I just want to try and get you to get comfortable with dotted quarter notes in 4/4. But we'll just deal with these 3 bars. They're identical. Every 3 bars is the same rhythm. So as you'll see here, the first hit is on 1, then it's the 4th 8th note, which is the and of 2, and then it's the 7th 8th note, which is actually beat 4. So it's 1 and of 2, 4. So if I just look at that bar, it's like 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. You do it round and round. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. That's probably not an unfamiliar rhythm to you. And 1, 2 and 3, 4, right? So that's a third of all the information there is. The next bar, it's just learning the second bar here. Then it's the second 8th note, which is the and of 2. It's the 5th 8th note, which is beat 3. Then the 8th 8th note, which is the and of 4. So it's and of 1, 3, and of 4. So it's like 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 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 1 and 2, 3, 4, and. Now if I take those first 2 bars, 1 and of 2, 4, then and of 1, 3, and the and of 4. Then you're ending up with 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and. Right? 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and. Now what you can always do, if this is too hard, just slow it down, stop, just deal with each bar at a time, or repeat 1 bar, or then repeat 2 bars, like I just did. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1. Or if I do that as a 2-bar cycle, it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1. Right? And then there's only 1 bar left to learn, which is 3rd 8th note, which is beat 2, and the and of 3, which is the 6th 8th note. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. 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 So if we can then sing or count the beats and clap the dotted quarter note with our hands, of course with the hands, what else are you going to use to clap with? Then you can, that's a really good place to start trying to get familiar with this. And just slow it right down. So if I try and do it slowly, I'll remind you again of the hits. 1, and of 3, 4. Then it's the and of 1, 3, and of 4. And it's 2 and the and of 3. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1. That's your cycle. So that's the basics of it. So I just want to leave it there as a 3-bar thing. And then we can, in the next video, I'll get to 4-bar phrasing. But it's essentially just the same thing. But you have to hear the bigger phrase. Now, good luck practicing that, and I'll upload the next part of this video soon. Alright, have fun practicing.